consider our business, our outfitting business, to be a definitely a full service outfitter. We, transportation right from the get go, from the city to camp. We look after 100% of the meals, all the accommodations, license tags, taxes, skinning, guiding, all the above. We're all inclusive, 100% all inclusive, and I believe in we're a 5-star operation. One thing that we include in our deer and bear hunts is transportation via Saskatchewan. So we either pick you up at your hotel, which is preferred because we recommend you travel a day prior to us picking you up. Just logistically works better for everybody if something doesn't show up through the airline. Anyway, so that's included in the hunt price. We purchased the van in 2024. We started using it fall bear, August 24. It's a very nice added addition to our business. We pick everybody up, everybody, meets everybody at the same time, and new clients, old clients, and the travel to camp is just more conversation. I think it just makes a better fit for everything. Logistically, it's better as well. I personally do 95 to 98% of the pickups as far as picking people up in the city. Just like to shake everybody's hand, give that first impression to everyone. I'm 100% involved in 100% of the operation. So I think that's very important. The drop-offs, I don't do all the drop-offs. Gives me a little breather for that day. I do have a full-time person that does the drop-offs for us. We get some really good reactions when we get our first-timers here, and not just our first-timers, but people that have been coming with us for the past 7 years. When we bought the place, it definitely needed some upgrades and some love, and we've done that. It couldn't all happen at once. Just financially, it couldn't happen, but we've put a lot back into this business, in the forest and at camp, or at home. I guess we live here, but anyway, I think we get lots of good reactions, especially from the guys that have been here already. Mostly, they see what we've done with the bunkhouse and the yard, and just improvements all around. So it's very refreshing to see that people notice that you're putting money back into the business, and it goes a long way, I think.
Not really. The difference between spring and fall is very minimal. Obviously, we use the same bait spring and fall. Really, same stuff. The only difference is in the spring, obviously, we have more access to the beavers that we use in our beaver tanks. So in the fall, it's a little tougher to come by. I mean, you can come by them. We get some people that are taking care of nuisance beavers and stuff like that. But that'd probably be the biggest difference that we have in the spring. But in the fall, there's less Mother Nature's food once the berry crop is gone and stuff. So we don't have to compete with Mother Nature as much. So it's that's probably the biggest difference. The best advice I can give for judging a bear is obviously the barrel. We have a 55-gallon barrel there, and I always tell guys, if you can fit the bear inside the barrel, he's 250 or less. If the bear can eat the barrel, probably a shooter. So that's a really good judge of the bear. And I mean, the biggest thing is you need to have the patience to actually use that tool. It's bears are the hardest animal to judge, as far as in my opinion anyway. So I think the biggest thing is patience, looking at that bear, looking at that barrel, or just look at the features on that bear. Are his ears Mickey Mouse like, or are they really close to his head and short and on the sides of his head rather than on the top? there's lots of things you can look at, but you need to take the time to look at it. You can't just, you can't just pull the trigger in the first 3 minutes that he comes in there, or 30 seconds, whatever you want to say there, because after the fact, you can't judge him after that. He's gone. So anyway, that's my biggest telltale of a big bear versus a small bear. I guess the biggest change we did as far as bear hunting goes is Chaparral, prior to us purchasing it in 2019, did not use the barrel location. It had approximately 60,000 acres of bear allocation when we purchased it in 19. They hadn't hunted it for 10 to 12 years. So that little chunk was very good, very good for a couple of years. You really have to be careful. A lot of people probably disagree with me on this, but you have to be careful. You can take the cream off the top in a quick hurry with bears. So that's why Shelly and I decided that we needed to increase our area if we wanted to keep bear hunting. If we'd have kept bear hunting in our little pocket, it would have been something that I didn't want to do, simply because I don't want to bring people here just to sit in the stand and look at the squirrels. I want to bring them here so that we can put them on mature boars and have a really successful hunt. So that's one of the biggest changes. Obviously, we purchased in the spring of 2024. We purchased an additional 100,000 acres, closer to 120. So we're really close to 180,000 forest allocation for bears, which is huge. The bonus for that new area that we bought is the gentleman that owned it prior. He hunted it, but he didn't go to the edges, and he didn't exercise, I think, all the area. I think and we're doing that. Obviously, we can't do it all in one spring or one fall. It's we're taking our time and making sure the setups are right. So yeah, that's probably the largest change, is we've added to the allocation, and getting some relationships with some of the farmland um, landowners, I guess I'll call it. And when I speak farmland, I don't want to send out the wrong message. It's not open plain. It's if you look around here, we're in the forest right now, obviously, but a lot of our farmland country is mass chunks of bush, stuff that can't be farmed, on the edges of cultivated fields. So those places are golden. I mean, lots of bears, lots of big bears. So two changes we made, I guess, is adding that 120,000 acres in the forest, and creating some good relationships with landowners and gaining some more access. So that's the two biggest changes, I think, for the bear hunting.
Typically, we do 2 to 1 ratio, hunters to guides. We have very good equipment, good logistics. We get everybody out to their stands and pick them up in a timely manner. The guides are very, very important, and not only the guides, but the cook. Bernice, Dave, Steve, Nick, Logan, myself are all local people. We're all born and raised in this area. I think that is very important, simply because, we know the area. We were born and raised here. Number one, the guide has to be a people person. They have to like being around people. Number two, very close to number one, is, of course, you have to be an outdoors person. You got to love hunting. You got to have a passion for it. That definitely is one of the qualities. You got to like being in the outdoors, and you got to like people. I think that's the two most important aspects of a quality guide. I am 100% involved in 100% of the operations. I do all the booking. I do as much as I can in the fixing, and a lot of the setups. I'm involved in 99% of the setups. I think being involved in keeping your finger on the pulse is very, very important to have a successful outfitting business. So, yes, I definitely keep myself in tune and keep myself involved in 100% of the operations.
So what got me into hunting in the first place was definitely my family. I came from a family of four boys. Oh, you have to ask me a question where it was going to get, it gets me. I'm really passionate about it. But yeah, no, I had three older brothers. My dad got me into hunting, and every time I even think about it, I started hunting when I was probably wasn't even supposed to be hunting. Anyway, they'd take me when I was 6, 7 years old, and we'd go deer hunting, and I shot my first bear when I was 13. My brother Ron took me in. Yeah, so family for sure. Family's number one in that category. We really like to name the 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 animals that we're hunting, and we do it for deer and we do it for bear as well. We don't name them all, simply because you can't. I always say we like to name them if they're worthy. So if we have a mature boar on camera that's we're thinking is a 350 plus or 300 plus, whatever. We like to name them. Actually, today when we dropped off one of our clients, um, we have a big bear on camera there, and we hadn't named him yet. So I said to Travis on the way in, I said, "Hey, we got a bear in here that's definitely worthy of a name." And he kind of paused, and I said, "Well, no, I'm looking for a name from you, because I mean, I think it means a lot coming from the client naming it, and if he kills that bear, if he harvests that bear tonight, that's going to make for a great story. Even if he doesn't, we'll go back to camp and we'll talk about it. That type of stuff, I think, gets everybody involved and gets everybody talking, about the hunt. So anyway, we're cruising in there, and he's thinking for it didn't take him long. Thought for a few minutes, and he said, "How about Big George Foreman?" I said, "That sounds like a great name to me." So that bear was named, and we drove in there, and there was a smaller bear at the bait, and anyway, I did my thing, and Travis got in, and on the way out, I received a text message from him saying that Little George was at the bait already. So it's just fun, get people involved and stuff like that.
Our fishing at Turtle Lake, I think, is second to none. You know, um, there's not very many drive-in lakes that you can go out and fish and catch 40-inch pike or 30-inch walleye. You know, and I'm not saying that's going to happen every day, but it's definitely a chance when you go out there to catch a trophy fish like that. So I think the quality of fishing is great. We have a very good resource. We look after it. Of course, those 40-inch pike and 30-inch walleye that we're catching, we are not keeping those fish. We're releasing those fish to catch another day and to just to keep the lake thriving. Those are the big females. We want to keep them alive. Of course, we'll keep some of the smaller fish for a fish fry. When we're doing our bear hunts, try to do that once a week only. We don't keep any fish other than that, just because we don't want to put the added pressure to the lake. We want to keep that resource for years to come.